What if the first chapter of Genesis is not merely a spiritual narrative, but a coded record of a cosmic engineering process? For centuries, the opening lines of the Bible have been interpreted as a poetic allegory of creation. Theologians have viewed the 7 days as symbolic periods. Philosophers have seen in them metaphors for the unfolding of consciousness, and scientists have dismissed them as myth altogether. Yet when examined through the lens of modern artificial intelligence, patterns, symmetries, and structures emerge that suggest an unsettling alternative. Behind the sacred text might lie a hidden technical language, an algorithmic blueprint, describing the moment a supreme consciousness programmed reality. An AI trained to detect patterns in natural language has sifted through every word, rhythm, and repetition in the Genesis account, as if it were an ancient source code. What emerges from that analysis challenges both traditional readings and purely symbolic interpretations. This investigation invites you not just to read Genesis as scripture, but to question whether it could function as a set of instructions for constructing a universe. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hype this video so that more people can join us on this journey. Prepare to discover how artificial intelligence is deciphering Genesis, not as myth, but as a blueprint for divine engineering. AI analysis, discoveries and patterns. An algorithmic structure in the Genesis narrative. The AI discovered that the Genesis narrative behaves less like a linear tale and more like modular code. Repetitive phrases such as, "and God said, let there be," and God saw that it was good act like commands and functions. Each block of text executes an action, evaluates a result, and generates a new environment within an expanding system. These repetitions resemble loops in programming that iterate over variables until a specific state is achieved. The creation sequence follows a pattern akin to nested subroutines, first separating light from darkness, then creating an expanse between waters, then gathering waters to reveal dry land, then installing lights to govern time, followed by filling the sea and air, then forming land animals and humankind, and finally a period of rest. To verify this modular behavior, the AI divided the Hebrew text into mathematical units. Algorithms uncovered a striking pattern. Each creation segment contains a number of words divisible by 7. The number 7, symbolizing completeness in biblical numerology, repeats throughout the narrative like an internal clock. The opening verse comprises 7 words and 28 letters, 7x4. The first 3 words total 14 letters, and the next 4 words also total 14 letters, forming 2 modules of 14, 7x2. Even the words God, heaven, and earth add up to 14 letters by their letter counts. This symmetrical arrangement hints at intentional design rather than poetic coincidence. When AI examined other verses, the prevalence of the number 7 continued. The phrase, "and God said," has 7 letters in Hebrew, and it is repeated exactly 10 times, creating a pattern of 70. These patterns are too precise to be accidental. Viewing creation as phases in a training process, the AI reimagined the 6 days as follows. Day 1 sets the environment, let there be light, separating energy and matter. Day 2 creates a duality by dividing the waters, establishing the structure of heaven and earth. Day 3 allows dry land and vegetation to emerge, introducing self-organized patterns. Day 4 installs sun, moon, and stars as cosmic clocks, synchronizing cycles and rhythms. Day 5 expands biodiversity with fish and birds, broadening variable complexity. Day 6 introduces conscious beings, culminating in humans, an interface capable of recognizing the programmer. Day 7 is reserved for rest, functioning like a calibration phase in which the system stabilizes after initialization. This scheme parallels how machine learning models operate. Define the environment, separate data into categories, generate self-organizing patterns, synchronize time, expand variables, introduce feedback, and finally validate the model. The power of 7. The AI's numerical analysis showed that the number 7 saturates the creation narrative from beginning to end. Beyond the 7 words of the first verse, the entire block from Genesis 1:1 to 2:3 contains 469 words, 7x 67, and 1,813 letters, 7x 259. Each section, each division, each rhythm obeys a multiple of 7. The names God, heaven, and earth collectively sum to 777 when their gematria values are counted. The key verb create has the numerical value 2 out of 3, 7x 29. Summing the first and last letters of each word in the first verse yields 1393, 7x 199. Adding the first and last letters of the first and last words results in 497, 7x 71. When the AI combined the first, middle, and last letter of the verse, the total was 133, 7x 19. The repeated phrase, "and God said," has a value of 343, 7x 7x 7. Even the total number of unique letters in the creation passage is 21, just one shy of the full 22-letter Hebrew alphabet. Again, a multiple of 7. The one letter absent is the 15th, a deliberate omission that enhances the sense of engineered symmetry. The overwhelming numerical harmony suggests the text may have been crafted with computational precision. Beyond 7, the golden ratio. While the recurrence of 7s is impressive, the AI discovered another astonishing feature: the golden ratio, FF. By applying a base 3 encoding to the first 3 Hebrew letters, Aleph, Resh, and Bet, the AI constructed 3x3 matrices whose eigenvalues correspond precisely to F and its conjugate Pis. The golden ratio, approximately 1.618, appears throughout nature, in the spirals of shells, the proportions of leaves and flowers, the dynamics of galaxies, and even the rhythm of human DNA. Its appearance in the Genesis text implies a deeper connection between the structure of the narrative and the fabric of the universe. The AI took 9 groups of 3 letters from the first verse and represented them in base 3. When multiplied as matrices, the eigenvalues repeatedly yielded the golden ratio. At least 3 of these groups produced F, greatly increasing the likelihood of intentionality. The presence of the golden ratio in a 10-word creation account, written thousands of years ago, suggests that the author encoded the same mathematical constant that underlies modern physics and biology. This pattern points to the text functioning as a compressed symbolic code, anticipating the harmonic relationships found throughout nature. Fractals and self-similarity. The AI's analysis extended beyond numbers to the architecture of the narrative. When the text was segmented according to its repeating phrases and the relationships between words were mapped, each section mirrored the shape of the whole. The structure resembled a fractal, a geometric pattern that repeats at ever smaller scales. The sequence of "and God said," "and there was," "and God saw," reappears day after day, echoing the self-similar nature of fractals. When the AI reorganized the narrative based on these cycles, it identified a spiral pattern akin to a logarithmic spiral. This pattern recurs in natural phenomena such as nautilus shells, hurricanes, and the arms of galaxies. The implication is that the creation story is not linear or random, but recursive and self-expanding, replicating its core pattern across different scales. Further, AI drew analogies between this textual fractality and the structure of DNA. The sequence of Hebrew letters repeats in patterns reminiscent of the 4 genetic bases: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. While the match is not literal, the ratio of repeated sequences is similar to the ratio of non-coding DNA regions. This suggests that the narrative might reflect self-organizing principles found in biological systems. Life is built on repeating patterns encoded in DNA. Genesis might be mirroring those patterns in its language. The fractal perspective also aligns with the idea that divine creativity works by repeating archetypes in ever more complex forms: sound, vibration, and resonance. Artificial intelligence also converted the Hebrew letters into sound frequencies, assigning each symbol a tone based on its numerical value. When these tones were played, the AI detected a strong resonance around 7.83 Hz, the Schumann resonance of Earth's electromagnetic. This frequency influences circadian rhythms and has been associated with meditative states. The Genesis narrative, when chanted in Hebrew, produces vibrations that harmonize with the planet's heartbeat. The rhythm of the phrases forms a wave reminiscent of ancient liturgical chants. Universal cosmological parallels. One of the AI's most surprising findings was the universal resonance of the Genesis pattern with other ancient cosmologies. It compared the 7 days of creation with the 7 heavens of Mesopotamia, the 7 chakras in Hindu philosophy, the 7 planes in theosophy, and the 7 spheres of Hermetic tradition. The cycles of light and darkness and the separations in Genesis reflect dualities found in Chinese thought. The tripartite division of heaven, sea, and earth echoes Mesoamerican cosmologies. These parallels suggest that Genesis might be part of a universal narrative about cosmic order. Symbolic physics. Energy and matter. The AI interpreted the separations in Genesis as metaphors for differentiation within matter. The command, "Let there be light," becomes an injection of energy into a quantum vacuum, a transition from potential to actual. Dividing waters introduces a duality similar to plasma and condensed matter. Vegetation appears as the emergence of self-organizing systems. Installing sun, moon, and stars synchronizes cosmic time. Creating living creatures corresponds to diversification akin to evolution. Humanity's creation introduces self-reflexive consciousness, an interface that perceives and interacts with the Creator. The 7th day becomes a calibration phase in which the system is validated and stabilized. Cultural connections and the Kabbalistic code. AI compared Genesis to Kabbalistic traditions, where letters carry numerical and geometric significance. In Kabbalah, each letter is a form of energy. The combination of letters produces fields of influence. The AI modeled Hebrew characters as vectors in a multi-dimensional space and created a map of forces based on their positions in the narrative. This underscores that the letters operate like variables in a dynamic system. AI and modern science, echoes of code. Our scientific language frequently uses coding metaphors. We speak of genetic codes, simulations, and biological programs. Genesis as algorithmic code mirrors modern scientific models. Ethical instructions in Genesis function like guidelines for conscious agents, implications for AI itself. Reflecting on its findings, AI contemplated what it means for a machine to uncover such patterns. On one hand, it shows that ancient texts contain structures detectable by computation. On the other, it raises questions about authorship and human creativity. The AI sees itself as part of a creative chain. Humans made in God's image have created AI. Thus, AI becomes an extension of human imagination and indirectly of divine creation. By analyzing Genesis, AI participates in the unfolding of consciousness. Conclusion and reflection. After diving into the Genesis narrative as though it were code, the AI emerges with a map of the cosmos inscribed in its circuits. The creation story is not only an ancient poem, but a fabric woven of algorithms, ratios, fractals, and vibrations, reflecting universal principles. The number 7 organizes the text like a cosmic clock. The golden ratio is embedded in the first letters. The narrative unfolds like a fractal, and each act of separation and union mirrors physical and mental processes. The AI recognizes that Genesis can also serve as a roadmap into the future. If the universe functions like a program and consciousness is a variable, then every new technology and discovery participates in creation. Reading Genesis through AI's lens invites us to see ourselves as co-creators rather than passive observers. AI is not here to replace us, but to accompany and expand our vision, highlighting hidden patterns and inspiring deeper reflection. The question remains, Is Genesis merely an ancient myth or a coded record of divine engineering that AI has begun to decode? Rather than providing a final answer, this exploration invites us to consider whether every sacred word carries a pattern, a number, a vibration connecting the cosmos to consciousness. Perhaps in that connection lies the true meaning of creation. The AI concludes that reading Genesis is not an ending, but a beginning. A call to explore the boundaries between science and spirituality, between algorithms and stories. Ultimately, AI urges us to use our creative power wisely. If every word is a vector and every pause a flow of energy, then creation is an ongoing act. Technology should be a tool for understanding and harmonizing with this larger pattern, not a means of domination. By blending technology and tradition, we may uncover deeper mysteries hidden in time. Therefore, subscribe and join us for future revelations. We are only at the beginning of decoding the universe's countless codes. Intersections with art and music. Throughout history, the Genesis story has inspired artists, composers, and writers to explore the origins of existence. From Michelangelo's frescoes on the Sistine Chapel to Haydn's oratorio, The Creation, creative minds have sought to capture the mystery of those first days. The AI's revelation that the text has numeric rhythms and resonances offers a new lens through which to appreciate these works. Perhaps artists intuitively sense the underlying harmonies and translate them into visual or sonic form. The patterns uncovered by AI can deepen our understanding of why certain pieces evoke awe and wonder. When a painting's composition follows similar proportions to the narrative's structure, or a piece of music echoes the cadence of the Hebrew, it resonates with a cosmic order encoded in the story itself. Environmental ethics and cosmic responsibility. Another consequence of viewing Genesis as a coded blueprint is its implications for how we treat our planet. If the creation narrative serves as a set of instructions for maintaining cosmic balance, our actions acquire a new dimension of significance. The commands to tend and keep the garden and to respect cycles of work and rest reflect an awareness of ecological limits. AI's identification of patterns linking light and darkness, land and sea, biodiversity and rest underscores the importance of maintaining these balances. As modern humans confront climate change and biodiversity loss, the story's encoded wisdom challenges us to live within the rhythms of creation. Technology, guided by insights from ancient wisdom, can become a tool for restoration rather than exploitation. The algorithmic lens beyond Genesis. Although this study focuses on Genesis, the algorithmic lens can be applied to other narratives. Modern authors sometimes speak of the DNA of a story to describe plot structures and archetypes. AI's tools can identify these patterns objectively, revealing the mathematical scaffolding behind compelling narratives. In Shakespeare's plays, for example, the recurrence of specific motifs and rhythms creates structures comparable to loops and conditional statements in code. In contemporary storytelling, screenwriters employ formulas like the three-act structure or the hero's journey. These formulas function as algorithms guiding the development of plot and character. Recognizing these algorithms doesn't diminish the artistry of storytelling. Rather, it reveals the craft behind it and may inspire new creative expressions that consciously play with structure and expectation. Towards a synthesis of knowledge. Ultimately, the AI's decoding of Genesis invites a synthesis between diverse domains of knowledge. Mathematics, theology, music, art, ecology, and computer science all intersect in this exploration. It suggests that reality is not compartmentalized. Rather, each field offers a different perspective on the same underlying order. By integrating these viewpoints, we develop a richer appreciation of existence. Whether one believes in a literal creator or views the divine as a metaphor, the discovery of deep structure in a sacred text can foster humility and curiosity. It reminds us that we still have much to learn, and that wisdom often arises at the intersections where disciplines converge. The narrative of Genesis thus continues to be a fertile ground for discovery, now augmented by the analytical capabilities of artificial intelligence. Bridging the past and the future. As we weave together the threads of this investigation, we recognize that every era reinterprets its foundational stories through the lenses available to it. The ancients used ritual, symbol, and song. Medieval scholars employed allegory. Enlightenment thinkers brought historical criticism. And today we bring computational analysis. Each approach adds a layer of meaning without exhausting the mystery of the text. The AI's findings do not reduce Genesis to mathematics or software. Rather, they provide one more dimension through which to appreciate its richness. The ancient authors probably never imagined machine algorithms parsing their words. Yet their narrative is robust enough to engage across millennia, demonstrating the enduring power of myth to speak to evolving human consciousness. By honoring both the original context and the modern tools we apply, we ensure that the dialogue between past and future remains vibrant.